regular meeting of the Commission to Address Homelessness. It's the first time I've said that officially. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to have our Vice Chair, Commissioner Cunningham, lead us in that. Vice Chair.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. It's good to see everybody. I know somebody said good morning to me twice on the way over here, so I think it's because it's a little overcast, but it's afternoon, and we don't seem to have a very long agenda, but a very quality agenda. So we'll get into that very quickly. I don't want to jinx it, by the way. So in any event, the agenda for today contains a brief general description of each item to be considered. Except as provided by law, no action shall be taken on any item not appearing on the agenda. The Commission to Address Homelessness encourages public participation. So if you wish to speak on any item appearing on the agenda or during during general public comments, please complete a speaker request form and turn it into the clerk prior to reading the item. Speakers will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will run the timer and announce when your time is up. Public comment may also be submitted electronically by emailing response@ocgov.com. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to roll call. Madam Clerk, if you'll please call roll.
Thank you. Commissioners, please indicate your presence when I call your name. Commissioner Sarmiento. Here. Commissioner Wynn. Here. Commissioner Vanderpool. Here. Commissioner Kim. Here. Commissioner Rose. Commissioner Parks. Here. Commissioner Hawley. Here. Commissioner Bustamante Pixa. Commissioner Hurst. Here. Commissioner Davis. Here. Commissioner Cunningham. Here. Commissioner Ivins. Here. Commissioner Spitzer. Here. Commissioner Afable. Commissioner Peineman. Commissioner Bruno Nelson. Here. Commissioner Rios Faust. Here. Commissioner Morse. Here. Thank you. And Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And as a housekeeping item, as a reminder, please be aware that the room is hot mic'd for the live stream of the meeting. Additional microphones are placed on the table in front of you. Commissioners, please speak into the microphone so it may pick up your comment. For the live stream, please also try to keep side conversations to a minimum as they may be picked up by the microphones throughout the room. We'll move on to public comment. So at this time, we'll take any public comment from members of the public wishing to address us to speak on any non-agenda topics that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
We have no request to speak for public comments.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to Commissioner member comments. Are there any comments, updates, or announcements from Commissioners? Seeing no. Yes, please, Commissioner Hurst.
I got a notice recently that my seat is up for renewal, which is great. I didn't realize that I had taken a seat that was vacated early by my great friend, Salvation Army officer, Major Nursing Kiston, who was relocated to Denver. But in thinking about it, I just wanted to say it's a tremendous honor to serve with inspirational champions like those around this room. I think this particular group is desperately needed in our Orange County community. I think it plays a really critical role, especially with some of the drama going on nationwide coming out of Washington. Our continuum of care is hurting. This specific role represents a segment of the population that is so critical in our fight against homelessness. This specific seat that I have been serving on is the faith-based representative. And in reflecting on that, I was thinking about the fact that at the Anaheim Emergency Shelter, we have 27 churches partnering in that space. You know, they are unsung heroes because they're not out trying to fundraise for their organization on what they're doing. And I say that respectfully to all of us who have to do that. But because of that, a lot of their work is well under the radar. But it's in an organization like this here that has all the elements in the room to make a high impact. And I just wanted to say I was inspired by Commissioner Spitzer's comment maybe a session or two ago, I don't remember when, but he was talking about how the elements are in the room right here to make a really deep and high impact on homelessness in Orange County. And I feel that with great conviction. I think the right organizations, the right bodies of legislature are at the table, and there's really extraordinary potential to see the narrative and story arc of homelessness really take a dramatic turn for the good in the immediate days ahead. So in the spirit of that, just thank you for the privilege of being able to serve next to you. And I didn't realize how this group really particularly worked until I was put on the bylaws subcommittee and had to dig into how this is actually supposed to function. And thank you for that, Doug, for that opportunity, because now I realize that the commission as a whole is hoping you and I will be more proactive in our comments and our input. I think that's why the chairman moved comments to the front of the meeting, trying to pull out positive impact from the group. So again, not to take up more time, just to encourage this particular group that this is a high impact potential space. The right people are at the table, and extraordinary things can happen if we step out in ever increasing faith. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hurst. And I certainly don't want that to be a farewell speech from you, because we need your voice, at this table and in this forum. So I certainly appreciate your comments, and it speaks to what, we've tried to do, which is encourage all of us just to, voice our concerns, our visions. Really, I think there's a lot of visioning that we can do, a lot of conceptualizing that we can do here, and then put it into practical purposes. And as you've seen, we have had initiatives move out of this commission, and I'll speak to one of those later on in the agenda. But thank you for those comments, Commissioner Hurst. Let me go ahead and move it along to our discussion section. And Madam Clerk, if you'll please read that first item.
Yes, item 1 is certificates of recognition, and we have no requests from the public to speak on this item.
So I want to take a moment to formally acknowledge and express my sincere appreciation to the 3 commissioners whose terms have concluded due to recent revisions governing the bylaws at this commission. The service of Sean DiMitropoulos, Jack Twan, and Paul Wyatt have been meaningful and deeply valued throughout their tenure here. They've demonstrated unwavering dedication to addressing one of our community's most complex challenges. And I think Commissioner Hurst's comments spoke to those really eloquently as to what we all provide here. Their insight, compassion, and commitment to collaborative progress has helped shape the work of this body in significant and lasting ways. And although their official roles on the commission have concluded, the foundation they've helped to build will continue to guide our ongoing efforts and inspire those who are carrying this work forward. And I think that's a really important comment, that for many of us, this is a temporary, transitory role that we have, but the work continues, in our individual capacities. So on behalf of this commission, I want to extend our collective profound gratitude and thank them for their service. Their leadership and their enduring commitment to the mission of addressing homelessness in Orange County has been profound, it's been deep, and it's been felt. Unfortunately, Jack and Sean were unable to be here today due to prior commitments. However, we're honored to present Paul Wyatt with his resolution, and I'd like to have him join us up front so we can have former Commissioner Wyatt please grace us with a few words. We also have a certificate of recognition for him, a proclamation for his service. So if Madam Supervisor Wynn, if you'll join me up at the podium so we can go ahead and present it to Wyatt. Let's give him a round of applause. So Paul, we're going to embarrass you for a little bit, if you don't mind. So we know we've had the privilege of serving with thank you, Richard. We've all had the privilege of serving with Commissioner Wyatt, and he's always, to Commissioner Hurst's point, has always contributed, make sure that he made thoughtful, profound comments here. So we certainly thank him for that, because I think that encouraged the rest of us to also, deliberate on items and give our thoughts. So Paul served as the mayor of Dana Point previously, and he's also served as the South Service Planning Area representative on the commission here to end homelessness when it was called that. And he's also served as the at-large representative on this commission. He's participated on multiple ad hocs during his time with the commission, and we are just thankful for him being at this table, because he's seen the evolution not only of trying to address this difficult issue of homelessness, not only at the municipal level, but now at the regional level. So, Paul, let me go ahead and turn the microphone over to Supervisor Nguyen, but on behalf of the commission, I just want to tell you thank you for your time, your service, not only here with us, but what you've done in the past and what you'll continue to do in the future. Supervisor Nguyen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, I just want to say thank you. I didn't get to serve with you on this committee or this commission, but knowing the hard work that everybody's put in this commission throughout the years, the efforts, we appreciate you, we thank you, and thank you again.
Well, I will reflect some of Commissioner Hurst's words too. I joined the commission when it was reformed at the beginning of 2018. And at that point, and being on the council in Dana Point, headed the homelessness task force there and worked on it and continued to work in a number of organizations to try to address homelessness. Although ultimately my goal has always been to end homelessness. As you know, I may be the one who voted against that name change because I just felt we had to have that determination to end it. But at any rate, I hope that determination to end it doesn't go away because of that. I thank the other commissions and for a chance to get to work. I think we went through a number of people heading the commission, not only from the chair, but from the internal staff too during that time. It's been interesting to see the changes of how it works. I was hopeful when coming on, as we looked at what happened to the previous 10 years on the commission, we could have a huge impact. I think we've had impact. I'd love to see more impact, but I'm always impatient for that, and continue to encourage the commission to work hard and actually see what we can do right now. I think we may have a bigger opportunity ever of looking at how we do something maybe a bit different, a bit out of the box to have a huge impact on homelessness, because it's the environment right now will need even more focus on that, I believe. So thank you all for the opportunity to serve with you, and I want to wish you great success in this commission's goal. Thank you.
You right here. What's coming to you're gonna be facing me. Yeah, we'll get some folks. If anyone wants to join the photo, just gotta get up and walk the other side.
Anybody want to join us?
Anybody?
You're welcome to come up and join us. You don't have to sit there. I'll do it. Todd, you don't want to be sitting there. Come on.
Right here, this is your angle right here.
We've never done a group shot.
You're tall in the back, before back, 2 rows.
Put you in the middle.
Sure, you want to back?
Law enforcement gets down.
Everybody squeeze on in. Squeeze on in.
If we're gonna say, oh, I win.
Squeeze. More squeeze. If you're nice and tall, please join the back.
No.
I'll go first.
Okay. As long as you can see the camera, I can see you.
Congratulations.
Corey Holly.
Sean and Jack.
Are you gonna send one out?
Probably not.
I was gonna say, is that in the budget? You would talk to Michelle.
Oh, we have a budget?
You better ask if you can do that.
So that was our first commission group picture, I think, at least since this group has been together. So we'll have to send it to Jack and Sean and let them know what they missed. So now we'll move to the next item. Madam Clerk, if you'll please read the next item.
Yes, item 2 is the Commission to Address Homelessness update, which includes updates on the bylaw revisions, membership ad hoc, and the 2024 commission ad hocs. And we have one request from the public to speak on this item. Ken Bear.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. As you mentioned, my name is Ken Bear, and this is the 5th meeting I've sat in. I appreciate the work that you all do, both with the Commission and in your individual careers.
Turn the mic on.
You might want to pull your mic up.
Thank you very much. I was looking at the current roster and noticed that there's a vacancy for the lived experience representative, and I'd like to throw my hat in for that. At 19, I was experiencing chronic homelessness in Orange County. It's been a long road since then, but I have achieved a bachelor's from UCLA, and next month I will be graduating with the MSW. Throughout my education, I've been focused on homelessness and homeless services. And I have a few years work experience in both the South and North SPOS. And then my internships have been with reentry services with Project Kinship, and I'm currently finishing up contract monitoring with HCA. I understand the scope and capacity of this commission, and I believe I could provide some insightful contributions. I present politically ambiguous, and at my core, I am a mediator. If requested, I could provide endorsements from the whole range of political or socioeconomic statuses. Additionally, as Mr. Spitzer mentioned last time, you each have your own spheres of influence, and I would be bringing my own network. I read the commission's bylaws, and I'm aware that there's a membership subcommittee, and if any member that would speak with me at the break or afterward, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Great, thank you for those comments, Madam Clerk. If we can have somebody speak with Ken, that would be great. Doug, let me go ahead and turn it over to you for the update.
Yeah, good afternoon. So real briefly, you'll notice, or some of you may notice, we've had a little change in our agenda. Normally, we just have an Office of Care Coordination update, and that sort of clumps together a lot of the different activities that are going on, both within the county and as part of the commission. So as we were putting together this agenda, we realized we should probably split that up, because there's some specific updates on commission efforts that we want to obviously make sure everybody's aware of. And then there are other updates that are related to either the Office of Care Coordination or the county at large that are important to share as well. And we want to make that distinction. So with that said, we'll start with the Commission to Address Homelessness updates. So really quickly, as has been mentioned already, we're our bylaws that we've been working on as a commission for the last roughly 6 to 8 months was approved by the Board of Supervisors at the February 25th meeting, which was a meeting that happened after the last time we met. So that's why today, for the first time, we meet as the Commission to Address Homelessness. As a reminder, the bylaw change wasn't just a change in the name, although that is obviously most front and center, but there were really the meat and most important pieces of change through this process were related to wording around mission, purpose, function, membership, and duties of the members. So, you know, feel comfortable speaking for the commission and the ad hoc, saying that we are excited with this approval by the board and the direction we're going in. Relevant, obviously, to the public speaker, sort of setting the table nicely. As part of the bylaws updates, there was, as I mentioned before, shift in membership. With that, we have a host of seats we need to recruit for. And that's not because, not all of those are because there was change in the seat membership, but just some people might notice that some of the seats that we're recruiting for have technically expired for some of them as much as 6 to 8 months ago. That was a deliberate pause on recruitment, knowing that we were going through this bylaw revision and that we wanted to get through that revision, understand where we are, and then when we've settled with sort of our future, then we look at our membership and we start the recruitment. So anytime we open a recruitment, that's done through a membership ad hoc. So a membership ad hoc was established or approved on December 11th in our December commission meeting. The membership of any ad hoc is one that for our commission is determined by the chair. So when we vote on an ad hoc, that's the voting on creating the ad hoc, and then between meetings, working with our office, working with the chair, we help staff that ad hoc. So you could see here, we have Supervisor Sarmiento, Commissioner Spitzer, Commissioner Bruno Nelson, Commissioner Ivins, and Commissioner Morris that will be serving. And we're excited for this particular membership ad hoc because not only will we be recruiting for the seats you see up here, but another thing this commission has charged that ad hoc with is to make edits to the application so that those applications for recruitment provide just a little bit more information of what makes that particular applicant a fit for our commission. So this membership ad hoc has a little bit of extra duty than some of our previous membership ad hocs. As you see here, we have 10 different seats to fill. We will work with the membership ad hoc on, as I mentioned, revising that application. And then we will open a recruitment. When we meet as an ad hoc, we will decide, since there's such a large number of seats open, I'm pretty sure our suggestion is that we will want to do recruitment in 2 waves. So we've done this in the past when we've had large seats open. We do a recruitment that seeks membership of roughly half of the seats that are open, get them on board, then do the second half. So it's not just such a large shift in the commission all at once. And then just a real brief update here. We also wanted, since we were talking about the membership ad hoc, we've established our bylaws. Last year, we had a handful of different ad hocs doing a lot of great work, and we just wanted to not only recognize them, but really inform the group and remind the group that essentially all of these ad hocs are complete. So our inclement weather ad hoc that did some great work on providing the county with direction on where to go with inclement weather shelters, has completed its work. The membership ad hoc from 2024 and who helped us with recruitment through openings of 2024 has closed out. That's why we're opening a new one. The small scale housing unit ad hoc that helped us create the small scale housing unit report has completed its work, and the bylaws ad hoc has completed its work. So at the moment, we have one ad hoc open. It's that membership ad hoc. And there it is. So that, I'll pass it back to the chairman.
Thank you for that update, Doug, and I'll go ahead and bring it back to the board for any questions or comments. But for those who served on the enumerated ad hocs that Doug described, thank you, because I know it's additional work. meetings that you all took, and in some cases, field trips that we took to go visit sites and go look at other examples of housing opportunities, shelters, and different spaces that I think are important for us to bring back here. So thank you for all of you for going above and beyond. But let me bring it back to the commission to see if there's any comments from anybody.
I do, and I don't.
Commissioner.
Is that one right? So, thank you very much for asking me to be on that ad hoc. But I am curious, I think, from the group at large about what you're looking for in terms of commissioners. And I'll kind of frame it this way. So for example, Cal Optima, as we all know, has a tremendous amount of resources and can bring to the table a lot of initiatives and ideas and thought because they have resources, financial resources to put behind it and staff to put behind it. Commissioner Parks, I just read, you were on the front page of the paper. You just did a report, an update to the community about your organization and all the good work you're doing and you know, things we've done well, some of the setbacks we're facing, things like that. Anaheim, I think, has done a phenomenal job. You built your own homeless shelter years and years ago next to the stadium. But at the same time, Anaheim's had a very serious problem with homeless being on the street and was looking for, primarily through law enforcement, their chief at the time and subsequent chiefs, some solutions to dealing with that. And then, of course, we got grants passed, and now there's members of the state legislature that have introduced bills to no longer make grants pass available in California. So I think I hope I'm saying what a lot of you have been thinking for a long time, like why are we here? Why do we exist? And how do we move the ball forward? Like what can we do collectively? And Mr. Chairman, you have, I'm sure, with a lot of commissioners and personally shared a lot of your thoughts. I think that's why you've been so instrumental since you became chair to effectuate bylaw changes and the like. But I'd really want to know, as me personally, I'm thinking through, like, what should be my input for new commissioners? What are you looking for? Are you looking for expertise? Are you looking for, like, can you go back to that, Doug, real quick? Do you mind that slide? Like, let's just take Hospital Association. The Orange County Board of Supervisors has been very supportive, and we built 10 juvenile beds, crisis beds at Chalk when I was on the board. That was a phenomenal event, and Kimberly Kripe, who is my appointee to something I don't remember anymore, but she's obviously CEO over there. What do we want? What do we want in return from Chalk, if anything? Like, are these the kind of people we should be going out and recruiting because they have ideas and they actually can bring things to the table? The cold winter shelter, not to rehash that, is quite frankly just a blemish on our community. In my opinion, just speaking for myself, obviously. The machinations we've gone through, nobody reacted to our survey for a cold winter shelter. Anaheim was kind enough to step up. Fullerton did when the former chief, the Fullerton chief was here, former chief. You know, they stepped up, they did things, but it was going to be, under understanding, it was a one-time deal because they knew there was a problem. I'm just, and maybe, Mr. Chairman, you don't feel this is the right time or the right place to have a conversation, but I'm just throwing this out there because I would appreciate people's input about who should be sitting around this table to give us input and what we want from them. Because I don't believe you should be invested in any group or commission unless you can bring something to the table. What am I bringing to the table? We're supporting the homeless fairs. I'm willing to dispo cases. I'm willing to dismiss pending charges against people so they can clear their records, so they can start with a clean slate, so they can get into facilities that you can get into because without a pending case hanging over your head or certain kind of convictions. We're working with the immigrant community on U visas, so the immigrant community isn't scared to death about not participating in criminal cases because they're afraid of being deported. Like, we all should be bringing something that we can deliver on. Okay, that's enough said.
Well, I'm glad you said that because at the membership ad hoc, you're going to go into that really deeply on what we want to see with new members. And to the extent that those of us who are going to serve there are going to be asking ourselves that same question. And I think to Commissioner Hurst's point, I think the way he opened up the meeting today with his comments, I think that's what we're looking for, are people who are going to participate in this, space, in this moment, for us to talk about what is our role collectively. I think if we ask ourselves individually, for me, I'll give you an example. The last seat description there is a person with lived experience. To me, that's probably one of the most valuable backgrounds to have at this table. You and I have incredible influence and authority and power. That person is the end user. That person is who we should be working towards and helping. So without that voice at this table, and Commissioner Morris has done an incredible job trying to be that individual, but it is a very diverse population, as you talked about. So I think that's probably the most valuable seat that could be in this room with us. But I think, again, the identity of this commission will be based upon not only our individual resumes that we bring, but the collective voice that we have once we have discussions. Because I've learned things from all of you. A lot of what I've tried to do with, to your point, the cold weather shelter, which is something that is unfortunately, the 34 cities have had challenges with stepping up and meeting that. So it led to our motel voucher program that was born out of the discussions here in this room. It was to address problems that we felt were being unaddressed. The homeless prevention and stabilization pilot program that we started here was something that came out of conversations here in this room. So I do think that our collective voice is where we're going to be able to come up with some, the discussion, direction, why are we here? Because that's a question I constantly ask myself before I come to this room, is like, what is our purpose? And our purpose, I think, is to learn from each other, because none of us have a singular silver, I don't want to use bullet, but idea that's going to solve this. But I think collectively we can get there. I feel optimistic every time I leave this room and see what people have to offer and what they do. But Commissioner Bruno Nelson.
I too am looking forward to sitting on that committee. And, this makes me think of, in my past experience running nonprofits, when you look for board members, you look for time, treasure, or talent, right? The 3 T's. And I couldn't agree more with what was said, that time, treasure, talent, and the talent on this board are those that have lived experience. So I agree with you, Supervisor. And I think that I think of myself and my background and what I provide, which is an extensive experience operating services for the unhoused, and we bring resources. But I have fortunately never, ever experienced being homeless. And that is something that I will never be able to bring. So I think that recognizing that all 3 of those pieces are important, but equally so, allowing those that bring those specific pieces to have an equal voice. What I would hate to see is that somebody that doesn't have resources has less of a voice on this commission than somebody who does. I think those 3 T's are all equally of value.
Thank you for that. Yes, Commissioner Davis.
So, thank you for your comment, Todd Spitzer and Bruno Nelson. I appreciate those comments very much. I don't have lived experience, but I do have a lot of experience working in both Orange County and LA County, specifically in Skid Row, right? The heart of where a lot of homelessness in California happens. And so I think it's going to be really critical. I've run large nonprofits, I run very small ones, mostly large organizations. I've worked in nonprofit and for-profit organizations. And I think it would be really important to Kelly's point, to make sure that we have people that it's a diverse group that's on this board, because even though I may not have, the nonprofit that I'm currently running, large financial resources to bring to the organization. I have advocacy experience, and I have a whole host of people behind me and that walk with me that will be able to advocate. So there's things that you can bring to the table in terms of influence and may not be financial, but are, things that will actually help end homelessness or end homelessness for individuals. And so I think it's going to be important that whoever you decide to recruit and bring onto this board in the future, that it's diverse and not just the look of what this group looks like, because the folks that are experiencing homelessness in Orange County is very diverse, right? And some groups are being impacted more than others. And so I think that to have that voice at the table is going to be really critical for you going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Rios-Faust.
Also, I think the work of the ad hoc is going to be really building on the foundation that the bylaw ad hoc had already done, which is really taking a look at the 4 pillars that the commission is focused on, and then what positions or representatives would help drive those 4 pillars. So some of that foundational work has already been done, which landed at how all of the representatives were, or the seats were selected. And then it becomes, to me, a matter of like, how does an ad hoc look at the individual attributes that you want at the table to be able to drive toward those? So first you have the seats and representatives from the community that could help drive those pillars, and then you have what type of a person or like qualities do you have in terms of strategic visioning, being able to communicate, engage, and or influence change in this community to address homelessness. So I just want to say, like, the ad hoc is a pretty good place, not to toot the bylaw ad hocs hornier since we were on it, but I think it's in a pretty good place, and it's not starting from scratch. It's really building on what was already put in place and is built into the bylaws that were approved. The other thing I just wanted to comment on, Doug, and I appreciate you're looking at staggering the way that you do recruitment, because that's a lot of positions to fill at one time, and it could set back the commission if we're not really focused on being able to really stagger the way that this is handled, and also considering that sometimes some of these seats could be renewed so that you continue the good work of the commission, and there's so much momentum now. I would hate to see that lost.
I just have a quick follow-up.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for, sharing your thoughts. I think it's important. I don't know if staff's already thinking about this in terms of preparation. I appreciate you postponing that meeting until I got back from out of the country, because I am very excited about this conversation. But I think what would be helpful is if all of us who are here now and are going to be here could fill out some kind of survey or some form where we delineate like what our strengths are, our group, what resources we have authority over, if you will, or if we have to go to a board. I mean, just something to give us a perspective. So when a person like me who needs that, maybe the others don't, but at least it's a crutch for me to say, these are the vacant, like this is the vacant areas that we could really utilize some help and expertise. I don't know, Mr. Beck, if you're thinking like that, because you have a much better feel for the commissioners than I do.
If I'm hearing you right, it'd be nice for the membership ad hoc to understand, where do we already have strength in membership? Where are the gaps? Ideally, what gaps do we need to fill when we think about the members? Is that what I'm hearing?
You're hearing like, pretend you're my kid and you believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
What do you want Santa Claus
Yeah.
to bring you? Like, I want to know what we should try to bring for Christmas. Like, we should set our skies on a new bicycle or whatever, you to get my analogy. I don't want to destroy it fully. But I think if you say, hey, we have strengths in this area, we have these people with this expertise, but we really could utilize, and I'm gonna just keep picking on the hospital representatives, because a hospital association in Orange County is very organized. It's led by CEOs. These are people that deal with all the issues with emergency rooms. It was the reasons they lobbied the board to get all the individuals who are getting their primary health care in emergency rooms, right? And get them care so that they didn't eat up resources. I think we did a pretty good job effectuating that. we still need their help. Like the CEOs of the hospitals have not gone away. So that's what, does that make it more
Yeah,
clear?
that does. And to piggyback on Commissioner Rios-Fass's comments, as I hear this, I think of the exercise we did with the bylaws, because that was such an exercise of answering that question as well as, because there was always that question of like, okay, we're here, what do we do? What are we trying to do? And I think we did a pretty good job of laying the foundation for that conversation, and we build on that in the membership ad hoc. So.
Yeah, yes, Commissioner Morse.
I would like to make sure that when you're doing recruiting for the lived experience seat, that it's done in a manner that you're not eliminating people who are currently experiencing homelessness. I would like to see the recruitment done in a manner that they will be included. Thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
Supervisor, that speaks to being a part of, on the staff level leading these. I think one of the goals I'd like to achieve is ensuring that we get, that we widely broadcast these openings to ensure that we get the best sort of crop of folks for our seats. Because I think at times when we've put recruitments out, we've gotten a handful of resumes or a handful of applications, and they've all been great choices, don't get me wrong, but it's always nice, I think, from the staff side. I know that board members have asked to make sure that they're informed so they could provide, updates to their listserv of when recruitments are open, and ensure that we get the most appropriate set of applicants, which would require, I think, a broad broadcasting of these vacancies.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner, for for raising the more philosophical question of why we're here. But I do want to also say that that question is one that we ask ourselves almost every time we step in this room. But the bylaws ad hoc really did take a much deeper dive and actually try to describe criteria as to what each seat should bring, or what sort of better description for that seat should have. On the hospital, I think, because we've seen so many of our unhoused homeless population end up in ER rooms, that to me is a nexus that, a hospital representative could bring to the table, because we see that there are common themes, right, in these end results that are not positive, how we can address them. But I really, just want to say to all of you, there is no agenda, right? I mean, the agenda is ours. So to the extent that you are working in the law enforcement area where you see people have, incredibly large, dockets of cases that they have filed against them, and you can clear them at a one moment, I think it was what was it called? That you're going to give us an update? The same day solutions. Look, those things are incredibly helpful. That's an element of what we do here when it comes to our folks having to deal with, housing and developments, and, how do we create something that maybe may take a shorter period of time than a permanent supportive unit that takes 18 months on average and takes, $700,000-$800,000. And that's why we were looking at small scale housing, because it's quicker, it's faster, it's less expensive. So those are the things I think that we all need to realize, that we create the agenda. And so hopefully nobody comes in here thinking the agenda is already created for us and we just review it and stamp it and move on. It should be generated in this room. And that's why I really speak to you saying, this is your commission. This is what you want to see of it. And you all have different lenses that can bring your own talents and your own vision to this. So, Commissioner Parks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a great discussion. When we started our work at Orange County Nightway around homelessness, and we used the cost study that we commissioned UCI, and I think it was really pivotal for the whole county, because it was well done research with a lot of input, a lot of interviewing of folks in the community, but also the hospital systems. What are the true costs of homelessness and where they come from? And we're looking to revise that. We're looking to update it. We're talking to UCI right now. But out of that, it came like a list of recommendations of how to approach, the issue. And so I'm just offering up in the future as we're starting to say, how do we update that and get current? It could be a good base for this work of this commission to come. So I'll keep you posted on our progress on it, but I think something we could add to the equation.
Thank you. And I know we'll be talking a lot more about this in the membership ad hoc, so we'll continue this discussion there. But seeing no other questions or comments, let's go ahead. Doug, or excuse me, Madam Clerk, if you'll read out the next item.
Yes, item 3 is the Office of Care Coordination update, which includes updates on the 2025 Orange County Supportive Housing Notice of Funding Availability, the 2025 Homeless Survey, and the OC Same Day Solutions Fair. And we have no requests from the public to speak on this item.
I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So here we have our second update, the Office of Care Coordination update, which really encompasses some important updates we want to update the commission and public on around efforts happening at the county. So the first one, which I believe we touched on at our last meeting, is the 2025 Orange County Supportive Housing Notice of Funding Availability, or NOFA. So our colleagues at OCCR have released a 2025 Supportive Housing NOFA, which makes available over $12 million of federal home investment partnership funds, Home American Rescue Act Plan program funds, Mental Health Services Act funds. And then additionally, in this supportive housing NOFA, there's 150 housing choice, mainstream, and/or VASH project-based vouchers available. So we, want to make sure everybody's aware of that NOFA, I'm sorry. It is still currently open. As you can see here at the bottom of this slide, there's the website for the NOFA. But additionally, we wanted to mention that OCCR incorporated and ensured that in their NOFA, based on the work that was done here at this commission and was produced in the small scale housing units report, which they also participated in, they made sure to ensure that small scale housing units will be considered as an eligible activity under the NOFA, so long as the criteria and the guiding principles of the Commission to Address Homelessness small scale housing unit report are met. So just another example of how the work here, the reports that are done with this group have practical application in the work here at the county. The 2025 homeless survey. So we're coming yet again with another item that we've been keeping you all up to date with. So the Office of Care Coordination is leading an effort with CityNet to undertake a survey to get a better understanding of people who are experiencing homelessness, what their journey into homelessness has looked like. And the way that we are conducting that is by surveying, and surveys were collected in the month of March by CityNet throughout Orange County, throughout all 34 cities in the unincorporated area. They collected 840 surveys, which represents 20% of the unsheltered population counted in the 2024 point in time count. So we're really excited that we were able to collect information from 840 folks. These surveys were roughly anywhere between 50 and I believe 75 questions long, based on the answers and each person's experience. So we anticipate to have a tremendous amount of great data and information that better understands people's journey into homelessness, which will hopefully provide data to this commission on several of its pillars, but most specifically, the prevention pillar, and help us shape our prevention efforts moving forward. We anticipate that although we collected all the surveys through the end of March, we're going to need a couple of months to get the report refined and together. So we imagine coming back to this commission in the summer with those results. Do you mind if I grab this one? Perfect, thank you. There we go. And then lastly, so, and somewhat most excitingly, we had our first OC Same Day Solutions Fair on March 27th at the Second Baptist Church in the city of Santa Ana, which really borders the city of Garden Grove. So we brought this item, we've been bringing this item and keeping this commission updated. And at our last commission, we said, we're going to be excited to provide that update. So the Same Day Solutions Fair, it's in the Office of Care Coordination update area because it is really a county-led exercise. It's been a really big partnership between the Office of Care Coordination, the CEO's office where we live, and many of our agencies, but specifically our public defenders, our district attorneys, and our courts to produce the first event. So with that being said, so many of the commissioners here, as I mentioned previously, we would be calling on many commissioners to come and partner, provide the resources that they can. And it would take me too long to go around the table. The last, prior, in our February meeting, I mentioned the role that Commissioner Kim and the chairman played in helping us secure a location at the Second Baptist Church. We also had, I'm just looking around the room, the Salvation Army was there and present, providing access to their services. I think we were able to get folks into treatment beds that day. OC United Way provided us with several trunks loads of kits, water, supply that were so incredibly important and utilized during that day and appreciated. Cal Optima ensured that their street medicine team from Garden Grove was there, Healthcare in Action. They provided great services. I'm just looking around the room. I'm sure I'm going to miss folks. Obviously, Homeless Court, and we're going to provide that. Was a huge catalyst and something that our district attorney really led with the public defender. Sheriff's Department was there supporting that as well. The COC was present in ensuring, that we had the right resources there. So what you see, it was an absolutely outstanding event. It was one that essentially we have some stats up here. We had about 169 individuals check in. It was from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and the place was really humming the whole time. We had over a dozen different vendors there, and you could see up here, out of 169 individuals that showed up, 488 services were provided. So everybody who showed up on average received about somewhere between 2.5 to 3.5 services at the event. Some of the big ones were, 89 people were served at the social service agency. They had their MIRV, their mobile unit out there with a whole bunch of different benefits, and specialists. They had arguably a quarter of the parking lot that they were working off. 69 services were provided at Homeless Court, and I think if I have my data right, it was roughly around 30 people that consisted of. That was another booth where people were at all day getting some of their, smaller violations cleared that really inhibit their ability at times to get resources. We had the DMV there. Over 20 folks were connected to getting a photo ID. And then we had a nonprofit group called Revival Hair that was there that gave 51 haircuts. And that was a group. It would have given more if the day just didn't run out. The one thing, so there's a couple of takeaways that I'd like to share about the event. As I've been, so one, we will be sharing with all of the commissioners and we will be making public a more thorough report of each particular service that was provided and how it was accessed. So I just want to say that there. We're excited that by our next meeting in June, we will hopefully have a date at our next site. So I know that Commissioner Deborah Rose, who's not here, the city manager of Lake Forest, her and a city council member of hers came to the event, and They're very eager to host the second one down in South County. So it's just a matter of time. I know that Chief Holly sent some folks from Brea to check it out, so I'm in the process of nagging Chief Holly about what some thoughts are. Yeah, obviously, Anaheim's always been great partners. So we see this as a reoccurring event. I think the most important takeaway, and I think from the event and that we heard, was that everyone who came, it was just such a positive environment where people felt welcomed. People felt that they were receiving services with dignity, which isn't different than every other day, but bringing together all of those services in one place. You know, it's interesting. I'll give a personal sort of reflection, which was homeless court was right at the front of where you checked in. And a big part of this event was the homeless court part, really, you know, leveraging a lot of the different work that's been going on in community court and getting as many people connected. The social worker in me, the cynic in me often thinks going through the justice system, going to court is going to sort of be this punitive, cold place to go. They really set the tone for the entire event. The public defenders, the district attorney, that was the, you know, the district attorney's office that was there, you know, clearly have a tremendous amount of experience in engaging the folks that we serve, and we're really there for the right reason. And it just felt like just a really collaborative day. And that particular tent, like I said, for me at least, sort of set the tone all the way through. And then lastly, I'll say, you know, as we're sort of in a climate of, I'd argue, reduction, where we're seeing less funding, you know, we don't have as many resources coming on board. This was an event, and this will continue to be an event to, I believe, remind the community of all of the great work that is going on, and remind folks of how many folks that are experiencing homelessness are truly interested and are doing so many things to improve their situation, which is often not the public narrative. So it was just a fantastic event. I really appreciated that every time I picked up the phone and called a commissioner, no matter who it was, whether it was for this one or to get them at this one, to, you know, consider doing another one, the answers were always yes, and everybody leaned in. So I just want to say I'm really grateful for that, and I feel it's a very good example of the type of coordination that I believe we see in the mission and of this particular commission, and based on what Commissioner Hurst opened our meeting with. So thank you. It was a really great event. And with that, I'll pass it over back to the chair.
Thank you, and I'll go ahead and, you know, bring it back to the commission to see if there's any questions or comments on the same-day fair or any of the other items. I just, before I forget, I really do want to thank Pastor Pitts over at the Second Baptist Church, who made his campus available. And if you haven't visited the Second Baptist Church, it's an incredibly, you know, logistically appropriate site. And he makes it available not just to his congregants and members that visit the church, but he opens it up for community events like this. I know during the pandemic, he opened up his campus as well to provide testing and vaccines and resources. And so he's just an incredibly valuable partner. Even though he's not at this table, his presence is. And to the extent that the city of Santa Ana also was helpful on this, council member Ty Fan, whose ward the church is in, was very helpful. She was there that day, really excited about having that. And that's not what we have in our county sometimes, is council members, electeds that want to welcome these types of sites. They see it as a burden. They see it as a negative. They see it as something that's going to impact their residents, and that's not a good thing. What I think those and you know, those present that day showed is that it's a very good thing to do, and that it's a positive. And I'm glad that the council member was there. She was so excited that she also lent, you know, gave me an idea, and we served together for a few years on the council. She also represents the ward where the Yale Navigation Center is, and she said, you know, this is such a great idea. Why don't you bring these services to Yale and do them while folks are there? Because, you know, their ability, folks' ability to access this information, these resources and outreach is tough. So whether we can do it at Yale, whether we can do it at Bridges, I think it's something that maybe we should consider, because she was real excited and she said, you know, she'd welcome it at that site there. So I unfortunately wasn't able to be there, but I saw the photographs and saw the images of people who were getting a lot of help. To everybody who was there, you know, thank you on behalf of, hopefully I speak on behalf of the entire commission. But, you know, things as simple as a haircut. You know, it may not seem as valuable as having your, you know, court record cleared, but you leave with a little bit more dignity. And you know, and you walk away and, you know, seeing some of the before and after of people who got the haircuts, it was incredibly moving. So in any event, I just think it's a great thing. And as we talk about what does this commission stand for, I think that was one example of what this commission does. And thank you, you know, Commissioner Kim, because I know it was very close to, you know, Garden Grove. It was right on the borderline. So a lot of the people who were there were from Garden Grove, providing resources, even from the Center Cities Navigation Center. So in any event, successful event. But Commissioner Parks.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it was amazing. I couldn't be there personally. My team said it was a wonderful event. So the survey we did last year, and I apologize, I might not remember everything, but it seems to me the survey came out that a lot of people brought up hygiene opportunities as one of the #1 things. And this seems to be at least a follow-up of that survey, which is always nice when you do a survey to say, what's next? Were there other things that we did from that survey, or maybe a commitment of our group for this new survey that comes, whatever comes out of that, some kind of action plan?
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, and I appreciate it. What I'm also reminded by that particular data point with our 2023 homeless survey, that, and the data point that you're referencing is what, when we asked the almost 600 folks in 2023, one of the questions was, what are the services that you're looking for? And the top one was hygiene. So, you know, but then there were the other three were a mixture of short-term and long-term needs, which I remember as, I always think back to that survey as the reminder that we are all human beings and we could all balance both short-term and long-term needs. And I think that this particular event was a good example of addressing both. We were able to get people treatment. We were able to get some people into shelter. We were able to address long-term legal issues. But at the same time, we're addressing just some of the basic human needs and the basic dignifying needs of the hygiene kits, the haircuts. We hope to have at the next one potentially a shower truck. So yet again, I think it's a reflection, and what we really wanted to achieve through this 2023 survey was to ensure that we're listening to the folks that we're actually trying to serve. So I hope that this was, and I believe that this was a step in that direction.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So how, Doug, how are we telling this story? Did you have video camera there? Are you making YouTube videos? Are you doing Facebook ads? Are you doing 30-second Instagrams? What are you doing to, like, for example, my church, you know, there's a video in the beginning. I think we have a very active pastors association and rabbis association in the county. Rick Warren, he's not the lead pastor at Saddleback anymore, but his replacement, I mean, you know, you've got 6,000 parishioners at every service at Saddleback on Sunday morning and Saturday night, and they have satellites all over the county. Look, I just think maybe it's because I'm elected and I've been elected so long.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't tell your own story, nobody will. I mean, Sue, she got her picture on the front page of the Orange County Register. I was out of the country, but I was reading the newspapers. And so you don't have to like confess, but somebody had to send out a press release and drive the media to come to those things. You've got to do that. So my first question is, I didn't see anything. Did I just miss it? Was there press?
There was. So I know my colleague Molly Nicholson will, she'll want me to say, so we made a video that the chairman was in, and the chairman of the board, Supervisor Chafee, was in. It's about 1 minute 45 seconds. We'll share that. It had over 11,000 views. Not apparently, we'll get to 11,001 views soon with you. Um, the other piece is, and that's what's really vital. There was a push for us. Normally, we get good media coverage on some of the events. The media outlets that were going to come that day, it was just one of those days they just didn't end up coming. I'm excited about the second event to be able to really put more energy towards that. The video is critical. One of the things that was a challenge, and Commissioner Kim, why we appreciate her so much, is that we were going with an idea that was an idea that we haven't done yet in Orange County. So we're asking a city to partner with us to do something that hasn't been done before, and we're saying, don't worry, it's going to work. Now that we've done it, we have folks that have experienced it, and now we have a little bit of material to sell it. I'm hopeful that we could grow it.
Okay, no, that's great. Listen, I think you have to sometimes do earned media, but you got to do paid media. And also, I think it would be helpful for all of us who've been doing a lot of this for a long time. There's a younger population in this county that we need to bring along too. And I think we need to educate them that this isn't a stigmatized issue. The last thing I'll just say, because I thought the haircuts was compelling, the number. There's no one I know that does it better that's sitting in this room, Supervisor Wynn. She is historically, Janet, you've had these amazing dentists. You've done dental. I've seen all the stuff you did when I was on the board with you. You're like an expert on how to put on a community health fair. I think you did it with Cal Optima, if my memory serves me correctly. But that in and of itself, hygiene, dental care, that all leads to medical issues and headaches and tooth issues. Like we all know that, right? Right. We should be backing those kinds of things 1,000%.
So
those are such good things.
I'm sorry. That's what's sort of exciting about this event is because we had all these vendors here, but we didn't, for the next one, we need that dental piece. When I did a similar event, and I've told this story before, when I did a similar event years ago back in New York, I remember approaching a guy that I was working with and trying to convince him to come to the event. And he had no interest in the event. And then I just passively mentioned there was a dentist. He was like, oh, a dentist. Okay, I've been waiting to get my teeth addressed. So we went there, he saw the dentist, and then that opened the door for all the other resources as well. So we're excited and excited to partner with the right groups because this was a really good event, but there's a lot more we could do with it as well. So
Bugging me. The owners of the Barber College here in Santa Ana are very, very community-oriented folks. When I didn't have any money and I used to go to a barber college because I could get a free haircut because somebody was experimenting on me. And maybe it cost me $5 or $1. I don't remember. But the bottom line is it's like psychiatry. You have to get 3,000 hours before you can get your certificate. Like there's so many people that need to get experience. Why aren't we doing that at every homeless shelter? Why aren't we doing that at Kramer Place? Why aren't we bringing in the barber colleges and those kinds of things? So we're doing hygiene directly where we are serving the homeless.
So that's one of the things I want to mention is this was a fantastic event. You are 100% right. But I want to make sure that people don't walk away and say, we did services only on one day. One of the things that was really nice about this event is that it brought together a whole bunch of groups that do this stuff every day throughout the community, and now it's here in one place. So I know at Bridges and at Yale, specifically Mercy House and Path, they have so many vendors that come, including haircuts. Obviously, they work with Cal Optima, medical resources. SSA is at our shelters. So these are all resources that, and I think that's one of the things we have to do a better job communicating is that this is a one-day event that brought all these resources together, but don't be fooled. This isn't the only time these resources are available. This is the one time you're seeing every one of these vendors is out in the community every single day providing these resources. And this is just a great example of them coming together. I also think, the Revival Hair is a small nonprofit that we were connected with. And I think is one of the more inspiring stories that came out of this. This is a woman who, is recently started her nonprofit, but has been working in the city of Costa Mesa at their church, and just shows up on Saturdays and provides haircuts every day. And now starting a nonprofit. She's a single mother. It's just such an inspiring story. And through her work, even at the event, she's getting barbers and stylists coming from throughout Orange County and throughout LA that are apparently like social, have big time following on social media. So yet again, it's an event that just draws people in and makes them want to help, because like you said, there's so many people out there that are looking to do great work, that are doing great work. And I think that telling our story, not just about this event, but about our system at large is really important.
Supervisor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now that the DA wrote me in, I'm gonna, I was trying not to say a lot. I was still trying to observe this committee. Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. I deserve that one. No, the DA is right. If we don't tell our stories, no one will. And I'm from the outside. I've been watching what's going on in the county and the homeless programs. And if you go from the outside, we don't believe it's working. All due respect to those who's sitting in this room and all those who have been involved. From the outside, we don't see it working. And the DA is right. I've done a health expo for 14 years. And every time we do it, 1,000 people show up. 400 people are 1,000 people gets help that day. 400 volunteers, from doctors to social work, you name it, all the way to high school kids. And he's also right, is that, we tap into the healthcare side, and mainly it's because I started that effort when I was a county supervisor over a decade ago, 15 years ago, because my district, we were the most uninsured before Obamacare. We had 60% of our children were vaccinated. When I left the Board of Supervisors, we were about 90% vaccinated in our children. And it's at their choice and their family's choices, but we gave them the information. We tap into colleges that has dental hygienists. Every year we go back to the same college, same campus. We work with this, similar organization. We've now, our effort, a few weeks ago, we worked with Cal Optima, SSA, HCA, you name it. We did another expo. It was more like a coordination, but just for the community itself, almost 1,000 people show up, and we organized it within 4 weeks. And so, we do a lot of these things, and it is about telling your story. It's about getting out there. But the other part is I've worked really hard in my district and in Orange County, is that when my name is attached to something like this, people know that their services will be given. There's services there that they would need. We brought in the food bank, who provided food and groceries, fresh vegetables for seniors. We brought in the dental chairs. We had a whole mobile van that came in that did, screening, gave them appointments and et cetera. We had eyeglasses. That particular one, because we couldn't pull it off fast enough, but the one near the end of the year, we will in the fall. Usually when you get your glasses with us, you get it done within the hour. Actually take home a pair of prescription glasses, and that's bifocal. And then after that, the other more complicated glasses that needs to be cut will be delivered to my office, and people come and pick them up. But that's even faster than my own insurance to get my own glasses. So it's those are things we do. And he's right, is that if you don't tell the story, I don't think anybody knows what we're doing or what you've all been doing. The saying is that if a tree falls in the forest, if no one's around, did it really fall? That's what it comes down to. And I'm not dismissing what the effort is, and I think you've done a phenomenal job, but I think it goes beyond that, where we know in our district, we don't just have a annual health expo anymore. We actually know that dental cleaning and eyeglasses are so needed because Medi-Cal only provides so many per year. Every 2 years you can get a pair of glasses, and every year you need new prescription, right? So we don't do just an expo at one time. We actually now go into communities. We bring in the van and the doctors, the optometrists, to a mobile home park for 5 hours. And we would help 80 people in that mobile home park who are 80 years old, who has no one to take him or her to a doctor's office to get their eye checked, or even can afford one. So we've gone to we've gone to apartments where children can't get a dentist appointment because their parents work all day and on the weekend. So we have gone above and beyond in various, even from whether it's 1,000, 2,000 people or 50 people that we serve. We find a niche, we find a problem, and we go into it. And in regards to homelessness in our district, we are now have been coordinating with organizations outside this group and out is we're going into areas that they're sleeping and they're sleeping there, and we're looking to see if they need any health care, and what else coordination we can help them, and hopefully be there when they decided they want to get clean, and or maybe it's that moment when they actually need to be saved. So we've done those stuff in my district. You know, I'm still, like I said, I'm just watching this commission and trying to understand everything you've done, will be doing, but there's a lot more that we can do, and it could be more individualized.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Kim.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank Doug and his team and for lifting this event. I had the opportunity to visit the city of Chula Vista in San Diego. Mind that they've listed their solution fair or their cares court pop-up for the last 5 years. So they can do that in their sleep. And so myself, my assistant city manager, and several members of the commission and the county was on site to just see how the solutions fair was lifted. And given it was such a success for its first inaugural event, I'm excited to hear the goal and the desire to really deliver this unique opportunity and all the resources under one roof. I think that's fabulous. I think there's also a reality. I mean, Commissioner Spitzer and you know the DA's office to be able to have the CARES court and remove any warrants, and you know the DMV to have the individual have access to their ID. I mean, that's a pathway to secure housing. So I think to Supervisor Nguyen's point, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of exciting ideas, I believe, on the horizon. But just a congratulatory note to Doug and his team. It was a heavy lift. With the level of resources that was under one area at the Second Baptist Church, and to provide services to 169 individuals. At the City of Chula Vista's event, if they were able to provide assistance to 100 individuals, that is deemed a successful event. So we learned a lot through that process of how to organize, how to deliver complimentary services to those individuals, to have conversations with the street outreach team, to the various county services, to the various navigation centers and homeless shelters, to the case managers to work directly with the unhoused population. I mean, it was very, very well organized and very thoughtfully done. So I'm excited to hear that City of Lake Forest is exploring the second Solutions Fair, and I think it's going to just be an amazing resource. And congratulations to Doug.
Great stuff. I'm really encouraged to hear all the enthusiasm around the table. So let's hope that it continues. Putting on health fairs is something, and you know, I want to give a shout out to some friends from Santa Ana. We've been doing this for a while just because we know we've got an urban core, and we had to go into neighborhoods during the pandemic, even before then. So we know how to do it well, and they know how to do it well. So you know, again, I think, you know, we're certainly glad that this began in the second district because somebody has to start, and that way you make people realize it's okay. These things work. These things are helpful. So we're glad that it will continue. And I know at Cal Optima, you know, I'll never forget that one of the, I think it was a back to school event that we had, And we did it in the city of Tustin. And that's not typically an area that you would think there's a high need for resources. We had close to 4,000 people show up. And so you realize that these events are more than symbolism. These are places, and that day we were giving, backpacks and tennis shoes and things that kids could begin their first day of school with. And so when I saw thousands of people show up, it overwhelmed, what staff was there from the city of Tustin and Tustin PD, but all of them said, we're fine. We may be understaffed. We didn't expect this outcome, but we're going to make it work because we realize that the need in our community is so high. So, yeah, what this shows is that there is a high need. So we'll just continue to do that. But thank you for all of your comments. All of you, those were incredibly thoughtful comments. There's good excitement going forward. So let me go ahead and turn it back over to Madam Clerk, if you'll please read the next item.
Item 4 is the Commissioner Spotlight with a presentation by Adam Hawley, City of Brea Chief of Police, and we have no request from the public to speak on this item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chief Hawley. The room is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about who I am with the Commission, more about my organization, and most importantly, some good information about the important work we're doing in the North as it relates to homelessness. I won't bore the Commission members with my bio that can be found online. And in the interest of time, I'll just share a few key and interesting highlights. I share in common with our friend Doug. I'm a native New Yorker, born and raised in Queens, New York. When I made my way out to the wrong coast, as my family back east likes to say, I began my work in municipal government, the city of Anaheim actually, where I worked for the Parks and Rec Department before moving slightly up the 57 freeway to Brea. And I can say I'm proudly served my community in Brea since 1995. This is my 30th year there. Worked various assignments, obviously, all the way up to my current role as chief. Outside of formal leadership, what I'm most proud of my career is the years I spent as an investigator working and advocating for children who are a victim of both physical and sexual child abuse. In fact, I worked many cases over the years with my friend, Deputy DA Susie Price, who is here. Some pretty crazy cases, and very proud of the work that we did during that time. I was appointed the 14th Chief of Police in the city of Brea. We've only had 14 in our 100+ year history. And I'm very proud to continue that legacy of service in North Orange County. Doug, I don't know if you can click to the next one. So about our organization, one of the things that I challenged my staff as I took over as chief, I said, hey, if we had no obstacles in our way, if politics wasn't an issue, funding wasn't an issue, egos weren't an issue, what are the areas that we would want to focus on to make our organization thrive and become a great organization in the future? We just randomly picked the year by 2030. What could we look like by 2030? And these 3 pictures highlight 3 of the 4 areas. I'll get to the 4th in a minute. The first one being on the left, you see a picture of a refrigerator. Oddly enough, that pertains to our focus on holistic employee wellness. So that's a physical, tangible example of one offering we have in our organization where we bring fresh, healthy meals to our employees. As you know, in policing, we work shift work, and it's sometimes difficult to have healthy food options depending on when and where you're working. So this, along with different fitness options and psychological wellness, are some various programs that we have for that endeavor. The top right picture, a few of our officers and supervisors, that's our commitment to ongoing employee professional development. And that's a graduation from the post-Sherman Block Leadership Institute program, which is a formal leadership program for sergeants. We encourage all of our employees, whether they're full-time, part-time, whether they're sworn officers or civilian professional staff, to seek ongoing training and ongoing professional development. And then I am a self-described nerd, so the bottom right is actually a concept drawing from our future integrated crime center. I'm actually pleased to say that the center is currently up and running, although it's in a temporary workspace right now. That is a rendering of our future permanent home, which we're in the process of building in Brea. And much like our partners at the Sheriff's Department, who has a very grand real-time crime center, ours operates very similarly, just on a much smaller scale up in the north end of the county. And then the last focus area really has to do on what we are all focused in on, which is homelessness. Our staff said we need to change the model. We need to change from police officers being first responders to being co-responders or secondary responders, and we need to have the right subject matter experts in the room to be able to provide the best outreach and services so we have more successful outcomes rather than less successful outcomes. I currently serve as the chair of the North Orange County Public Safety Collaborative. Gosh, this is going back 7 or 8 years now, when then Senator Josh Newman asked the chiefs in his district, what do you need? What are the concerns? And the 3 common concerns were, we're concerned about youth violence, prevention and intervention. We're concerned about successful reentry from our prison system or county jails. And we're concerned about homeless. This was well back in 2017, 2016, 2017, that already homelessness was on the radar in North Orange County. So we were able to receive some funding. We built this organization, which is shepherded by the chiefs up in the north, and we continue to do great work. Initially led by Chief Sainez from Buena Park PD, and then the second chair, Chief Dunn from Fullerton PD. I feel like I stand on shoulders of giants. These were amazing leaders. They really did a lot in the north, and our efforts have now kind of pared down away from the other 2 focus areas and primarily looking at our work on homelessness. As part of that, we decided our funding would eventually run out, and I'm sad to say that that is true. It is running out as of June of this year. The North Orange County Public Collaborative's funding will be gone. But prior to that, we wanted to create a legacy project that would outlive us and continue to serve this most important mission. And that's where the Hope Center was born. It's a physical center in the city of Fullerton, adjacent to St. Jude Hospital. It's not a navigation center. It's not a service center. It's an office, but it's an office where a lot of entities from throughout our county and throughout the north come to work to really conduct that meaningful outreach and engagement. So here's a highlight that I'd like to show you on the next slide of that. We just completed our 2024 annual report, which I'm sure will be online. What I'm most proud of is of the 12 or so North Spa cities, we have 8 that are currently onboarded in to the Hope Center: Stanton, Cypress, La Palma, Buena Park, Fullerton, La Habra, Placentia, and of course, Brea. In 2024, we conducted a total of almost 4,500 client engagements. Of those, 1,100 were unique or individual client engagements, not repeat client engagements. And we had a total of 265 positive street outreach or street exits during that time. Our exits destinations, no surprise, many to our navigation centers, but also some positive family reunifications, moving into supportive or permanent supportive housing, recuperative care, or things like Project Home Key or His OC. What's unique about the Hope Center is, in addition to the proactive engagement that they do, we also have a dispatch center. So you don't have to call the police. Oh, if you do, we will most likely transfer you to the Hope Center. But you can call the Hope Center directly. If you encounter someone who's experiencing homelessness, who's non-criminal, non-emergency, but needs help. They received almost 8,000 calls last year. And I gotta emphasize, not all the cities were on board throughout the entire year. So once 2025 is over and we have a more complete picture, I'm sure those numbers are only going to increase. Out of those 7,700 calls, we had 2,500 that were dispatched, over 1,000 proactive client engagements. And again, with the police transfers, we transferred almost 2,000 calls from those respective 8 police law enforcement agencies. So those are 2,000 calls that ordinarily officers would have responded to that we're now referring to the Hope Center to have those subject matter experts respond out there. But much like the North Orange County Public Safety Collaborative, ongoing funding is always a challenge, and that's something that we're working with our county, state, and federal elected officials to ensure ongoing funding for the Hope Center. We're currently funded through 2027, but we hope to see its continued success into the future. And with that, I'll end my presentation and be available for any questions, but I'm, again, very grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you for that presentation, Chief Hawley. That was, you know, for you to explain it and go through step by step and sort of the evolution of the work that you've done there really tells an incredible narrative. And I would dispute, though, just you were on a pretty good coast, I'd say, you know, so we like the East Coast as well. But But thank you for that summary, and it's great to be able, and I think this is what maybe, we were talking about. These spotlights really help to see what not only we do professionally, but also, what drives us, right? And I think the questions that you pose to yourself and to your team and Brea, what is it that you want to see going into the next 5-10 years, right, for your city? So let me turn it over to Supervisor Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you, Chief. Congratulations, because I actually, a week or two ago, I had a tour of the Hope Center. I was shocked, impressed, and I think it should be mimicked all across the county. Sharing data, sharing information of an individual who moves from one city to the other. And I saw firsthand when a call came in. If a call comes in and literally the computer screen shows up, you can find this person, you can find the photo of the individual and know exactly what date, time, who they communicate with, where they were sent, if they miss an appointment that they were supposed to go to, a doctor's appointment or whatever, it's all on there. And so every officer who interacts or anybody within the community who's part of the Hope Center app can look at this individual and know, has this person been in the system? Have they not? Have they actually taken their medications? Did they go to their doctor? Did they not? Did they show up to the navigation center that they were sent to? Did they show up to the rehab? It's all there. It's amazing because now we actually have not just a number of individuals who are out there homeless, we have a name, we have a picture, and we have the what have we done to help? And is it us or is it the individual? And so if you haven't seen this app or this program, I suggest you do because, especially having been a former council member quite a while ago, but coordinating and trying to understand why does, a Janet Wynn jumps from this city to that city, what's the purpose as a homeless individual, right? And sharing that data across each other. And I thought also the other part that I was impressed with is the fact that um, it keeps our officers from having to be homeless czar. They're out there, their duty is to protect the community and their time is to do that, but they can place a call in to the Hope Center and there's teams all over the district that can immediately go there and assist the individual, which takes the officer away from having to help that individual that doesn't need, an officer's help, more of a social service help. And so, like I said, and I mentioned it to Doug when he came into my office, and I said, "Have you heard of this program?" And so it's very impressive. I think that we should find a way. These data information should be available to every agency in this county. So if a John Doe shows up in Fulton is now in San Clemente, we know why and how. And is there a way we can help? And not just keeping these folks as just a number of how many goes in and out of the system. We actually have a face and a name and a why and a how. So kudos to North County. Also want to give a shout out to Senator Josh Newman, who started the grant with the state. I'm not taking any credit. It's all him. He worked really hard and he's very passionate about it. He was actually one who talked to me about it a couple of years ago about this because I ended up representing a couple of the North County cities in my Senate district. I still have one of the cities now, but it's like I said, is from Supervisor Chafee to Senator Newman and then Senator Umbert really has put in a lot of effort and money from the state to really giving an opportunity of an idea that has blown up into what you see today.
Thank you, Commissioner Nguyen, for highlighting those important facets. The database is crucial to have a by name database that's shareable from city to city. so that you're not repeating services or having duplicate client entries. It streamlines that process. The dispatch center, as I mentioned, is key as well. Thank you for highlighting how that's successful and your firsthand observation of seeing that call come in. Also, the system is tied to our bed reservation system in real time at the shelter. So instead of playing a telephone game, our field end users can actually look on their mobile device to find out what beds are available and when, and more expeditiously match clients with housing opportunities, which is excellent. And then to Doug's credit and the work on the COC, our most recent success was integration with HMIS. So we're continuing to see it grow and succeed. And like I said, I could bore you with more stats and numbers. I think I would invite anybody to come down and take a tour of the Hope Center and see it firsthand. And I'm sure, would have a similar opinion and experience. So thank you again.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for allowing us to spotlight you and for you sharing that information. So let me go ahead and turn it back over to the clerk to read the next item.
Item 5 is a presentation titled Federal Legislative Update, presented by Peter DeMarco, Director of Legislative Affairs from the County Executive Office, and Corey Takinen, Vice President of Townsend Public Affairs. And we have no request from the public to speak on this item.
Thank you. So at our last commission meeting, we received a legislative update from our CEO of the Legislative Affairs team and Townsend Public Affairs regarding the shifting federal landscape. The commission had a robust discussion, and I was given the distinctive direction by this body to relay our concerns to the full board at the County Board of Supervisors. And at that board meeting on February 25th, I relayed and expressed the concerns of the commission regarding the uncertainty of the federal funding, particularly as it relates to the critical programs and services which support our homeless response system collectively and the system of care. I shared how critical and crucial these federal funds are to the counties and the Commission's efforts to address homelessness, since it provides resources that enable us to address the complex needs of individuals and families experiencing and those who are at risk of experiencing homelessness. So I want to ensure that this Commission is up to speed on the changes by the federal administration, as well as the advocacy efforts on behalf of the county. So we've invited back the CEO, Legislative Affairs, and Townsend Public Affairs for an update. And with that, I'll turn it over to Peter DeMarco and also Corey Takinen. But I think Corey's up. We'll go ahead and, Peter, you can be on standby in the event that you have, there's any questions for you. But Corey, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Corey Takinen with Townsend Public Affairs. I'm going to start and then I'll turn it over to Peter to continue on the county side of things. But I'm going to start with a federal legislative update on what's happening back in Washington, D.C. in this space, focused on providing you the facts as it relates to administrative actions, legislative actions, and then wrapping up with the county's legislative platform. First, where I want to start, and this was part of our previous presentation in February, but I think it's important to help give some context for the presentation. This will also give some color to what the president may be thinking in the housing and homelessness front. In all reality, this has not been a focus of the administration in the first 90 days. The president has been focused on extending and expanding the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. He's been focused on our international relations and tariffs, and heavily on immigration. But if we take things back to the campaign side, President Trump ran on a platform of increasing housing development to address the housing crisis. And he also made promises to combat homelessness encampments. At that time, there were not very many specifics on exactly how he would accomplish those goals, but they were key points in the campaign. From his budgets during his first term as president, his budgets both called for eliminating CDBG funding and home program funding. Ultimately, these programs were not eliminated by Congress and there were no changes made, but they were a focus of his during his first four-year term as president. And additionally, there have been voices in the administration calling for changes to the Housing First model, and this was part of the Project 2025 proposal. As of now, we have not seen the president's fiscal year FY26 budget proposal. We are expecting to see that at the end of April, mid-May, and that budget proposal will give us additional details and information about how he proposes to address homelessness, and maybe even more importantly, how he is planning to direct HUD to advance his agenda. As we look at HUD and regulatory action that has been taken, in February, there were 2 actions taken to roll back existing regulations. The affirmatively furthering fair housing rule, which was previously revoked in the first Trump administration, was reinstated under the Biden administration, was again revoked under the current Trump administration. Secondly, HUD also stopped enforcement of the Equal Housing Rule. The Equal Housing Rule provides guidance to ensure equal access to individuals in accordance with their gender, identity, and family composition. While the rule itself has not been rescinded because that would take a formal regulatory process, the Secretary's statement that was released says that HUD will no longer enforce complaints stemming from violations of the rule. So this again could be a precursor of additional actions to come by the administration. I would also add that the Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, DOGE, has been heavily engaged with HUD under its mission to reduce the federal workforce. And we have seen significant layoffs at HUD, which have resulted in a slowdown of service delivery. An action that was taken this month was the creation of the Homelessness, Fraud, and Corruption Task Force. This was created last week by former Assembly member Bill Asaley, recently appointed now U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley. Mr. Asaley covers the Central District of California, which starts up in Ventura County and runs all the way down to Orange County. Also covers Riverside and San Bernardino, Los Angeles counties. So a huge portion of Southern California. This task force will investigate crimes related to the misappropriation of federal dollars intended to alleviate homelessness in this Central District of California. The task force will also investigate fraud schemes involving the theft of private donations intended to support and services for homeless populations. The stated intent is aimed at transparency in federal, state, and local investments made to address homelessness. That is the mission that has been set out. We don't have further details at this time, but it is likely that there will be a combination of agencies involved in this task force, the FBI, the IRS, the Inspector General, likely some others as well. On the executive order front, on March 14th, the White House issued a new executive order that seeks to reduce the scope of federal bureaucracy. And as part of that executive order, there were several federal agencies that were determined to be unnecessary and were eliminated by that order. One of those includes the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness. We have not seen the full effects of this yet. However, on Monday, we learned that the staff of the council has been put on administrative leave. Since its inception, this council has played a key role in coordinating the federal response to homelessness. It was previously the main coordination between the White House and local governments related to homelessness. So it remains to be determined on how this will continue. Technically, the council is still authorized. It was originally authorized as part of the McKinley-Vento Homelessness Assistance Act, so it does still exist. And authorized by statute, it's required to have an executive director and a board of directors, all appointed by the cabinet. But as of now, it has no staff. Secondly, on March 6th, HUD issued a notice that they will be releasing all remaining emergency housing voucher funding in late April. This payment will be made with the expectation that no additional funding from HUD will be forthcoming. This emergency housing voucher program was a one-time $5 billion appropriation, but the original sunset date was 2030. So it is being expedited so that all of the remaining funding is released immediately. And HUD is anticipating that this will recover rent payments for the remainder of 2025 and well into 2026. The County of Orange gets the 20th largest allocation in the country from this program, and they are anticipating that this last installment of payments will last them through October 31st of 2026, at which point there will be no more funding in this emergency voucher program. On the legislative front, homelessness has not been a major focus of the 119th Congress, but there have been actions on the broader appropriations front which fund federal housing programs. On March 15th, President Trump signed into law a year-long continuing resolution that extends funding for the government through September 30th, 2025. Although the continuing resolution extends the government funding levels from fiscal year 2024, level funding can be viewed as a cut due to increased costs like inflation, population growth, and other factors. There were many impacts on the continuing resolution as it relates to HUD's homelessness assistance grant programs. All of that funding for things like emergency solutions grants, youth homelessness demonstration programs, the $3.5 billion for the Continuum of Care program. Those funding levels are continuing, but again, at that 2024 level, which does not account for fair market rent adjustments, does not account for new people entering into the system. So year over year, it could be seen as less because of those factors. And then lastly, before I turn it over to Peter, on this slide, you see this County of Orange stated positions in the state and federal legislative platform. These were adopted by the Board of Supervisors. They give us the guidance that we need to advocate on behalf of the county in Washington, D.C., and hopefully also give some assurances to the commission that the county board is actively engaged and actively receiving updates and providing us direction on how to proceed to advocate on their behalf as it relates to housing and homelessness in Washington, D.C. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions or turn it over to Peter to continue on the more specific county side of things.
Thank you, Corey. Peter, do you have a real sort of summarized version of that? That way we can maybe have a few minutes of Q&A and then wrap things up.
Right, absolutely. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Peter DeMarco. I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the County Executive Office. At the last Board of Supervisors meeting on March 11th, the board approved its 2025 state and federal legislative priorities. Building off of the previous slide that Corey just showed you from the platform, this gives the county's advocates and staff further direction in terms of what our priorities are for this year. Copies of these are, I believe, in your packets. However, in the interest of time, I wanted to point out just two specific ones. As it relates to state funding stability to continue to protect safety net programs. And two, with respect to HAP funding and ongoing funding to support homelessness to address our programs. Those have been both called out specifically. So that is giving us continued direction to, as the rest of the year goes through, to determine what is happening, report back to the board, make recommendations, and then take the board's guidance and direction. Similarly, with respect to the federal programs, the similar sort of things that you've seen before, against federal funding stability and safety net access. And with that, that concludes my report.
That was brief, thank you. Let me go ahead and open it up and bring it back to the commission if there's any questions or comments. That was a lot to digest, but I know when we had Ben on from DC and he was doing something virtual, it was a little difficult to hear and understand. So your summary, Corey, was a lot better as far as at least understanding, but the information wasn't as hopeful. But in any event, let me go ahead and bring it back to the commission if there's any questions or comments on that. Seeing none, and as we're getting close to the hour, I just want to say that we're working very closely with TPA and with Peter and his team. A lot of the changes are making us making it difficult to forecast what programs are going to survive. Some have already been, discontinued. Some we know are going to sunset for other reasons. But we certainly are trying to navigate what's a challenging environment. But we certainly appreciate the support that you're all providing us. Thank you. So moving along to our last action item, I'll go ahead and turn it back to the clerk to read that.
Item 6 is to approve the Commission to End Homelessness minutes from the February 19th, 2025 regular meeting, and we have no requests from the public to speak on this item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions or comments on the minutes? If not, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. And that leads us to the adjournment. And actually, before, if there's any other comments that anybody would like to say, I think we had a really robust discussion. Thank you, everybody, for lending your voice to what we had to share. I don't want it to get lost on the hygiene point that was made by, I forget which commissioner at this point, really important. I know we're going to be taking that up at Cal Optima on these mobile showers in addition to these haircuts. So it's a really great point that was made that I don't want to miss. But with that, that will conclude our meeting of the Commission to Address Homelessness today, and we are now adjourned. Our next meeting is on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025 at 1 p.m. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.